Hello, friends. My name is Will Liffert, and we are gonna get started in just a minute here. Tried to time up the kalimba with the start. I usually like hit record and start playing, and sometimes I feel like there's a delay. But we're gonna hang out for the next 4-ish minutes and let people trickle in. I am super excited because we are going to do our 4th and final installment of our machine learning series. We are going to name some fish. We're going to be giving away some prizes. We're going to see who won our kaggle competition. And most importantly, we're going to learn how to integrate our web app we're going to learn how to integrate our machine learning model with a web app, which I can give a demo of in just a second. Hello, Sam. It is great to have you back again. Incredible. I will probably also re-kalimba. I got out my ukulele for this one, and so we might be doing my song about birds. I have a song about how birds are a government conspiracy. We might do that for halftime. We also are actually. This is something that I want to announce and re-announce. Is that so far I realized that I told people that they could make memes of this course or this track, and that the best one would get to name a fish. But I did not give anybody the instructions for like how to submit. There was no like, do this if you have a meme. And so I'm going to give everybody until sort of halftime, so like an hour from now, if you want to make a meme of this course, or if you have a meme of this track, or me, or machine learning in general, drop it in the meme Discord channel. And probably like an hour later, we'll go through them. I'll pick my favorite, and they will get to name a fish, which, by the way, we have a little name tag for the fish already up on the fish cam. And so it is just waiting for folks to give them names. It's really unfortunate because the only way that I know how to tell the difference between the fish, I don't like gendering things unnecessarily, but the only way I know how to tell the difference between the fish is via their biological sex, and y'all all have to be adults when I say this. The biological males, they have larger, darker anal fins. That's the technical term. And so you can tell me if you want to name a dark anal finned fish or a light anal finned fish. And those would be your options. Hello, Aditya. Welcome, everybody. Hello, Rehankan. Hello. I can't pronounce SGS. That's not a sound in my inventory. But hello. It's great to have everybody here. We will officially kick off in a few more minutes. We're just hanging out until then. This is the chat that I want to get things going with. Is I want you to put in the chat where you're calling in from and how much sleep you got last night. So I actually was really proud. Most nights this week, I've been not sleeping that much, but last night I got to bed early. I got a full 9 hours of sleep last night. So I'm just raring to go. So I'm going to put that in the chat. I honestly feel like that's like a little bit of a brag, you know? I feel like people, if they say they only slept like a small number of hours, that is also a brag. But if someone says they slept a large number of hours, that is definitely a brag, right? If someone says, I only slept 2 hours last night, it's like, okay, we get it. And someone's like, I slept 10 hours last night. And you're like, okay, whatever, you know? So for me, I got 9 hours of sleep last night. Okay, cool. We have someone pulling an all-nighter. I send all the positive energy in the world to you. We got 5 hours of sleep from Sam, 5 hours of sleep. Okay. So I am probably the most awake person participating in this live stream right now, which honestly, you know, that's how I like it. Last time I was not very well rested, and you may have been able to tell because I did not turn on streaming to Twitch for like the first 10 minutes, and then I finally realized like, nobody's saying anything. I wonder what's going on with Twitch over there. I'm also going to finish eating my apples before we get going. We have a lot of fun stuff today. Really, just a packed schedule. And I got 7. Congrats. That's incredible. 7 is like a really solid solid number of hours to get for sleep. So anybody who's trickled in, I wanted to throw out there that we had 3 competitions for getting to name a fish, right? You could either win the kaggle competition, you could win the raffle by participating every day, and the last way was by making a meme of either this track or machine learning or me. And I realized that I hadn't told anybody how you actually can win from the meme, like how to submit your meme. And so the thing that I'm saying is that you should submit your meme to the meme channel on Discord. Let me find the exact name of it. But if you drop a meme in that channel, then I will go and adjudicate sort of live during this session, and we will pick our favorite meme, and they will also get to name a fish. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was feeling like a flower crown kind of day. I think I've been alternating flower crowns. I was no flower crown, then flower crown, then no flower crown again. But we're back to a flower crown. Okay, so I think probably we're 4:01 where I am. I'm probably ready to get things going. Let me again frantically. I pull up my notes every time, and then somehow I am frantically searching for them every time as well. Okay, cool. So we will get going. Hi, friends. My name is Will. I am full-time a software engineer at Google. I am part-time a coach at Major League Hacking. I am incredibly caffeinated, and I'm really excited for our 4th and final session of the machine learning track at Local Hack Day Build 2022. Thank you so much for being here. I'm super pumped. Yes, Freak, thank you so much for being here. It's good to see you again. It is an alternate flower crown. Yes. I have not named any fishes yet, but we are going to get to the fish naming sort of at the end of this section. And I think it should be probably, oh, excuse me, not Freak, Neil. I'm glad that I know Neil's name now because I've been saying Freak in my head a lot. It's good to know your name. I guess I should also probably actually make it my head again for a second. We're going to name some fish at the end. We also might be announcing some more swag, and we'll be looking at who won our kaggle competition. But first, we are going to integrate our model that we built, our machine learning model, into a web app. One final time, I'll announce this, that the 3 ways that you could win naming a fish were winning the kaggle competition, winning our raffle, which has now already been drawn, or by dropping a meme of this course, this track, machine learning in general, or me. And the way that you can submit those, you still have time, is drop them in the meme chat on the Discord. Okay, awesome. So I think we will jump back over to my screen, and we're going to use a service called Replit. If you have done stuff with Major League Hacking before, or anything really, you probably have heard of Replit. If you just search for Replit, replit.com is the ticket. I will drop that in the chat. You do have to create an account in order to use Replit, but I would really, really recommend it. If you want to follow along in your local environment, that is totally okay. But I'm just warning you that it might be a lot. And so we'll all be working together in Replit, and everything will look the same. And that'll be just dandy. So as a starting point, we are going to create a new Replit. So you're going to come over here, and you're going to click this little plus button. Actually, I'll give everybody a second to, if you want to, get onto Replit and create an account. And we will fill that time with some Kalimba. So get on Replit. Okay, hopefully, yes, commercial break. Hopefully you had a second that if you don't already have, oh, hi, Stuart, it's good to see you. I'm so glad you're here. I'm starting to remember specific people's names, which is awesome. I am super, super excited that, super excited to get going on this app. Hopefully that gave you a chance to actually sign up and create an account if you don't have one. So now you should be looking at a screen kind of like this, and we're all going to create a new replit together. We can click on import from GitHub, and I think this will work for us. I will drop that GitHub repo link in the chat. It's the same GitHub repo link that we've been using sort of all session. And you'd really think that I would have that link already copied down. So this is the repo link that you're going to want to copy. And we will throw that link in there. Oh, GitHub URL. Now I want to, add remove repos. Okay, we are actually going to not do that. That is not going to work for us. What I just said, just forget that I just said it. We're going to actually go back to home, click on your face, click on the logo, click this plus button, and just create a Python replit, and then we'll import in a second. So create your replit. I am calling my version of this app Homie. You can name it something else, but I thought that Homie was kind of a fun union of our 90s theme that we're going to see in a second, and the fact that we're looking at homes. Oh, I'm glad that it worked for Neil. But so if it did not work for you, as it did not for me, probably because reasons, you can actually go over here, and I believe you can click on this little version control symbol, and then click on existing Git repo or existing Git repository. And now you should be able to plop that link in there. Oh, I guess it's the same. It's the same thing. Yeah, replit is jelly of my flower crown. And then we should be able to just import that from GitHub. Now, this is very important. It is, well, actually, first and foremost, I'm going to try to change the name because it automatically updated the name to build an ML web app. So I'm going to click up there and see if I can change it back to Homie. And let's see if we can save that. Oh, I don't want to actually publish it. I just want to save the name change. Okay, the name has been changed. Great. Lovely. So the first thing that's important is this is now kind of the finished product. And if you want to actually follow along today, what you should do is come over to version control and click on this second to last thing. Click on revert to here. So basically, it's that same thing where on the cooking show, they put the cake in the oven, and then right after they put it in the oven, they pull out a finished cake, right? We were doing that. So this is the finished cake. And if you want to just see the finished cake, you're welcome to. But if you want to follow along, click on this button, revert to here, and this will be the second to last, or the second to most recent update. And click overwrite and continue. Incredible. I unfortunately do not have cake. Okay, someone just joined. You were going to want to go to replit. I will drop the replit link again. Boom. So go to replit. If you don't have an account, it's really easy to make one. It's free. I would really recommend it. That's what we'll be using. But you can also just follow along if you feel really confident with your local Python environment. That's allowed. And then what you're going to want to do is go over to creating a new project, and then when you get the new project interface, you should be able to say import a Git repo, and this is the repo that you should import. The cake was a lie. The cake was a lie. Okay, so we have now imported our code, but one extra thing we're going to do just to make this easy so that we can use the run button is we're going to come down here and we're going to enter the command. I have it right here. cd web app, and then python3 app.py. This is basically just going to say when we click this run button, it's going to run that command. So it's going to get us into our web app directory, and it's going to run our app. That's all it's doing. Once we put that in there, we can click done. And if everything is sort of going according to plan, there's one more thing we want to update in our app. And then we can actually just run it, and we'll see what the stub is that I built for you. I kind of did a lot of the legwork. I didn't want us to spend all day writing HTML forms, right? So I did a little bit of legwork. But if we click into web app here, the one last thing we need to update is come down to the very bottom here. We'll walk through all this code in a second. But say add into this very last line, app.run, add something that says host equals, and then make a string, and have that string just be 0.0.0.0. If you're familiar, this is sort of the fake IP address that Replit needs us to use in order for it to sort of play nice with the code we're running. So I can just drop this last line of code. Just take that line of code and make sure that your last line of code in app.py just has that host equals 0.0.0.0. Now, at this point, we should be good to click run and see what sort of the frame we're working with is. And actually, the reason that I did it this way is because if you are a machine learning engineer, you're probably working with a web developer and a designer. And probably when you get brought in is probably about this point, right? They have built sort of the scaffolding of your web app, and you are here just to put in the machine learning part, right? And so that's what we're going to do today. So if you hit run, yours might take a little bit longer because it might need to install some packages. Replit is really cool. You don't have to tell it what packages it needs. It'll just look and see what packages your Python files import, and it'll automatically install those. But that might mean it takes an extra second for yours to get up and running. But it worked pretty fast for me, and I can then come over, click on this thing where it says open a new tab. And I'll zoom in a little bit, but actually, no, that was pretty good. And so this is our web app. I think I told you that it's a very, very retro 90s color scheme, mostly because I'm colorblind, and those were the first two random colors that I picked. But then I was like, actually, this is kind of 90s. I kind of like it, you know? As I said, there are just way too many modern, sleek-looking apps out there. So I wanted to give ours some personality. Okay, somebody said no module named pandas. Okay, so if you are getting any import errors, so right here in this shell, I guess I should have given a little bit of a tour of Replit. Hopefully it's mostly understandable. But on our left here is our sort of our file explorer. We have all of our files. In the middle here, we have our text editor. So when we click on something, we see it pop up here. In the bottom right corner, we have our, which I guess you can't really see it because my face is covering it. Yeah. Maybe I'll get rid of this and that'll help. Okay, I guess you can see most of it then. This is basically our console where if you get any errors, your errors should pop up here. Now, if you have an error that says problem importing pandas, well, so for starters, one thing that might be going wrong is you might be in the version control. You might be at our most recent one. And I'm currently working at our revision here when we went to the beginning, because I don't think we should be importing pandas at all at this point. But one option that we have that I would maybe recommend we just give a shot to is I think that you can come over. I feel like there was a time where you could just automatically add in packages. We might need to change this. Oh, we can't change it from a Bash app to a Python app. Okay. That might be a problem for us. But yeah, as it stands, try just going back in time and joining me there. And I think that might be a little bit easier. The other thing that you should do is that startup command that we did. I'm actually trying to see how do you change the start of a command afterwards, and you might actually not be able to. So that might be, it's probably in rep.replit. Okay, so make sure that your run command looks like this. I wonder if I could change that to Python. That'd be interesting. Let's see. I'm getting a privacy error when opening in a new tab. Everything works. Your connection is not private. Attackers might be trying to steal your information. Yeah, so I actually, if it does give you an option to say advanced, if you're getting that error, and then say continue to the site, I would. I'll say don't do anything that makes you feel insecure or unsafe. But in this scenario, we're not giving any personal information to this site, and it probably, well, I guess mine actually technically has HTTPS, but there might be something about it being this dev environment. So then somebody asked, what code did I add? So the one big change we have to make before this will run is we have to come to app.py, scroll down to the very bottom, and then just run this add host.0.0.0.0 to our app.run line. I'll paste that in the chat again. So that should help us. Someone said, can you tell me again which point we had to revert to in the version control? Yeah, and you're going to want to go just back to, so this is the most recent one. This is our finished cake. And then you're going to want to go one behind that. So you should be able to just go to the second one down, and then you should be aligned with me. And then again, after you pick that that specific after you pick that specific revision, then you're going to want to go in and just make sure that app.run has host equals 0.0.0.0 in it. Oh, that's awesome, Hannah. Did you convert it just by changing this to Python? Incredible. I'm glad to hear that's working for folks. So I'll flip back over. Hopefully some folks had been able to get this up now. We'll keep working with folks that have some little errors because getting it started is one of the hardest parts. But so now we have our basic interface for our web app, right? You can pick a state. You can enter a zip code. This is my zip code, actually. In fact, maybe I could just go to my, basically the house that I'm currently in, or the townhouse that I'm in. So the state is Washington. The zip code is 98144. It's a townhouse. It's 1,050 square feet. I have 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. And I actually don't know how big the lot is. It's pretty small. And so maybe it's 500 square feet of a lot. I'm not giving anybody my address. Yeah, I don't trust y'all unless you want to send me presents. In that case, I guess I'll give you my address. We could submit it, and then down here we get a prediction. Okay, cool. And you might be thinking, wait, Will, what are we here to do? And the answer is, we'll look at what this model is. This is actually that first model that we built where we just based it off of the square footage. So this is not a very intelligent. It's not a very intelligent model right now. And so we're actually going to have to integrate our smart model. Okay, let's see. Back to errors people are facing. Okay, so if you're getting an error that says main.sh not found, then you're going to want to go to your files, click on this one file that says .replit, and you want to make sure that this is what's in your .replit. I'll paste this, so you just want to paste this exact stuff into your .replit and make sure it looks like mine. Because by default, it'll be looking for something else, and we need to tell it, no, we're running a Python app. Cool. And so yeah, that's the price that it predicts, but that is not actually the price that my house cost. This is pretty far off. But we can get to making our model more intelligent by actually integrating all the work that we did last time. Okay, the .replit file isn't there. Okay, if you don't have a .replit file, then what you can do is just click Add File, call it .replit, and then add that content. The one reason the .replit might not show up is if you there was a window that popped up over here that let you sort of enter in a starting command, and that's where I entered in this. But if you didn't get that window or you didn't use it, then it might not have created that .replit for you. But simple problem to fix. Right on. Okay, so now we're going to dive into our code a little bit. So hopefully you've gotten to the point where this is running for you. If you haven't, no worries. We will help you with whatever bugs you have, and if you don't, you're free to just kind of hang out. We will probably make sure we can run that final version as well. But so we get some prediction, but it's not very smart, right? And why is it not very smart? Well, let's dive into our app. Now, this is not a web development course. If you wanted web dev, you should go hang out with Hannah later, because that's going to be an incredible final stream. But there are a couple of big things to call out. So we're using a piece of technology called Flask. So Flask is our sort of web framework library. And so we create a Flask app right here. And this is actually what we're using sort of as a go-between between the internet and our Python. Let's see. Looking back at some comments, I'm getting unable to read .replit, unable to decode .replit near line 1. Last key parsed quote. Okay, so probably what I would recommend is just looking at this and making sure that yours looks just like mine. Something that can happen sometimes is that singular quotes can turn into curly quotes, and curly quotes cause errors for us. And so you might want to just delete and retype your quotes if it does look like this. Also, make sure to get that new line. It may have gotten rid of the new lines in the chat. Somebody said, is the maker going to stream? And I'm not 100% sure who the maker is or what the maker is. Let's see. Made a new file.replit, but still main.sh not found. Okay, Sam, were you able to put this stuff in the .replit file, kind of word for word? That would be the recommendation there. Hannah made Neil. Now, somebody's asking if I'm going to go blonde again for 2022. I don't know, maybe. Maybe that'll be the prize next time, is whoever wins gets to choose what color I dye my hair. That could be good. Interesting. And it's saying, okay, so then the alternative thing that we're going to try is, if you are still having problems, hop into the shell. And what I want you to do is type out cd web app. You should get to something that says web app. And then I want you to just type Python 3 and then type app.py. So hop into shell right here. And then type the command Python 3 app.py. And yeah, so after you make those changes, and if your replit says this, you should be able to just click run up here, and it'll probably pop up a little window here, but then you can pop that window out into its own tab. Okay, so we're going to go back to look at some code, but if you continue to have any issues, please drop them in the chat and we will talk about it. So we create a Flask app in this line. Don't worry about the secret key. I created some constants for us to use later, and then this is where the real meat happens. Basically, anytime our website gets a request, it's going to run this function. So we have a little decorator, but home is the function that's going to get run anytime we get a request in for our website. That's like the big idea to understand. And so we get our request in, and we have this request object that we can check things in. So we're going to ignore this for a second. Most of our requests will be get. So we check to see if the method is post, but usually that's going to be false. And so we just create an empty dictionary called formDict, and then a prediction that says none. So then we load our states. That's where we're getting, if you remember this right here, we're not writing out all these states. They're actually in a file. We can actually see that file, states.json. So it just has all of our states and their abbreviations. So we're loading in our states in line 27. We're printing out whatever is in the form. So if our form has any data, we're going to look at that. And then we do a thing called render template. Now, we're not going to get deep into the template, but it's something that's interesting to look at. Templating is just an easy way of writing some HTML and then plopping in variables. So for example, this is the bit where we bring in our states, and we basically iterate through our states and template out some HTML. But I don't want to talk too much about templating. This is not a web dev class. Again, we're talking about machine learning. But it's important to know we send our data to that template, and that is what we get back in the browser. Let's see. It still shows an error, can't open file 3, no such file or directory. Okay, so on that topic, if I jump back, if you said cd web app, if it says can't open file 3, it is possible that you may have put a space in between Python and 3, and Python 3 is a single thing. You just say Python 3 and then put in app.py. That would be my recommendation to try. Someone asked, is this an America only app? And I sure hope it's not. Okay. Pradamesh has it working, so that is good. Incredible. But yeah, if you continue to see errors, please send them, and we can continue to debug. I think that the one, Sam, that you had, can't open file with 3. Okay, cool. I'm glad to hear that was the error. And so hopefully when you type Python 3 app.py, we're running. Oh yeah, so the app itself is intended for just America. Adam, if you had been here for our second session, we were collecting data, and this data is just on the U.S. housing market, so it will tell you nothing about places outside of the U.S. Okay, so back to our code. That's true. The two genders, America and not America. Jumping back to app. So let's come back up to this right here. So when you just get this will be a tiny bit of web dev. When you have a form like this, if you just request that form, so we just go back here, we just load this. This is called a GET request. We're just asking for the web page, and we're not giving the web page any information. But once we fill this out, I pick a zip code, I pick this, I toggle these, and I hit submit. When I hit submit, it's making a new request, but the method of this request is no longer a GET request. So a GET request is just when I'm asking for information and I am not sending any information in. But now I'm hitting submit, I'm sending information in, and I am now making a post request. I am posting information to the server. And so the important thing here is that means that when we check method is now post. And so all of this code runs when we hit submit. So there's this handy dandy way of getting all the data out of our form where we say request.form. And this is now a dictionary that has all of the keys of the stuff in our form. So there will be a key for state and a key for zip code and a key for home type and values for the values that people entered in. Y'all are so sweet, staying up late, ruining your sleep schedules to hang out with me. I'm honored. It's a blast to have you. Honestly, it's really sweet that we've had some continuity and I've actually gotten to see people again and again. That really has meant a lot. Okay, so we have a dictionary with all of our inputs, right? All of the things that people entered in on the form. And there are some defaults there, so we should always get the input. Now, we're in a try except statement here. And basically, this just means if anything goes wrong when we're doing this, then run this exception. And so if, for example, we were unable to convert something to an integer, then that would throw an exception, and we would do this instead. So let's actually try that out. Let's go back to our form. And if we say, instead of living area as a 0, what if we put in some text? Like that might cause some problems. And if we submit, oh, incredible. Okay, we get a notification saying we weren't able to make a prediction. Maybe check your input and try again. Great. So we can check our input and we could say, okay, 1400. And we can try again. And boom, we get a prediction. Awesome. I'm actually going to make this a little bit smaller. Yeah, I honestly, to be totally fair, my sleep schedule has been ruined as well. I usually get a lot of sleep, and this week I was, I was max getting maybe 5 hours of sleep, which I know for some people is normal. For me, that's not a lot. Incredible. All right, so we're going back here, and when we had that exception, because we tried to turn that text into an integer, right? Because we got our living area value from our form, and we tried to turn it into an integer, but we couldn't, and so we threw this exception, and we printed out this error message. And then we said prediction is none, right? Now, the last thing that we'll kind of look at is what model were we using, and it was literally just multiplying the living area by our average price per square foot, right? So this number, living area, should be square feet, and we're just multiplying it by the average price per square foot. So I can actually tell you that if we give, 10 square feet, looking back, our average price per square foot is 195. So if I just say 10 square feet, it should be 1,950, right? There we go, 1,950. It's a very simple model. It's not doing much for us. Let's see. I actually don't know. If you can do italics in Twitch. I also would not be the one to tell you this. I'm like everyday living grandpa discovered the internet. What is a sleep schedule, or really, what is sleep? There's only caffeine. Absolutely. I actually was about to make some my third cup of coffee before this, but then I thought, maybe I will not have a third cup of coffee and let people actually understand what I'm saying, you know? What, Hannah? 3 cups of coffee is normal for me, okay? The what is it? I think it's the American Medical Association, something like that. They said don't drink more than 4 cups of coffee. So I actually have some space. Somebody asked, Google engineers, grandpa discovering the internet. Well, okay, no. I think that the things that I need to learn more about are Twitch and Discord, right? I'm like, I am a Slack power user, right? Like I'm like an email power user, but not Twitch and not Discord. That's what makes me feel like grandpa's discovering the internet. All right, so we're flying back here. Let's see. Somebody asked, I just got here. Where can I get the link to demo to try it? Oh yeah, if you want to play around with what I have live, I will drop that link. That's a great suggestion. So if you want to hop on and play with my app, it is right here. And so you can right now see that all of these other numbers don't mean anything. We're basically just throwing them away. Still 1950, but this is the only one that changes. So if we change it to 100, this would now change to $19,500. Great. There's our prediction. Hopefully this is not crazy. But now we actually want to start introducing the model that we built, right? We did a lot of work cleaning data and training a model and testing it. And we want to actually use those smarts, right? Because right now this is not a very good model. And so the first thing that we're going to try to do is to create a separate file called predict.py. It's helpful to kind of keep our web app logic separate from our machine learning logic. So under web app, click add file, and we're just going to call that predict.py. Awesome. Somebody said a day, Will, a day. LOL, we're all ganging up on Will, and like here's this one dude like, LOL, what are we doing? Yeah, yeah, stop attacking me, y'all. We're friends. Let's see. So Hannah said, would it be complicated to change the bathroom number type to be a double and not an integer? Yeah, so that's actually a great point. And we didn't talk a lot about this, but that often if you have a bathroom that has maybe a toilet and a sink but no shower or bathroom, we'll call that a half bath. Or if you have a bathroom that has a shower, a sink, and a toilet but not a bathtub, sometimes we'll call that a 3/4 bath. That's like a terminology that's often used in the States when you're describing real estate. The one thing that I will say is that we trained our data just on whole numbers for our bathrooms. And so you absolutely could do that, but you'd probably want to get data that actually incorporated half baths if you wanted to predict accurately for that. So I think that we're probably, if you have 4.5 baths, probably we would just say you have 5 bathrooms. That's probably the method that we're using. Incredible. Alrighty, so we've created a file called predict, and this is where we're going to stick all of our prediction logic. And I am actually going to, on a separate screen, I'm going to pull up my finished version just so I don't get very confused, you know? Okay, cool. So let's create a function called predict. And it's going to accept some data. That'll be our one argument. And then we're going to return. We're going to do the same thing that our app does. We're just going to return data, and we'll say living area. And we'll just multiply that by, we have over here, we have our average price per square foot. We'll drop that over in predict. Wait, where is predict? Oh, did I delete predict accidentally? Okay, I'm going to create predict again and try to save it this time. Oh, but not under templates. Pull into web app. Okay, cool. And let's save it. And we'll say define a function called predict. And we'll pass in some data. And then we'll do just what the web app was doing. We'll paste that and we'll say return data living area. And we'll multiply that by our average price per square foot. And so now all we're going to do is pop back into our app. We're going to import that. So we'll just say from predict, import predict. And so now under our home function that's always going to run when somebody requests something, we're going to get in here, and instead of passing this in, or doing this right here, we're just going to say predict, and we're going to predict, and we're just going to pass in our form dictionary. Now, one thing that's important to understand is that we're passing in this raw dictionary, and so everything in that dictionary at this point will just be a string by default. So we're going to have to go back into predict, and we're going to have to turn that into an integer. So we're going to have to pre-process our data in this predict function. Now, we should be able to click run at this point, or if your run button wasn't working, remember you can go and you can say cd web app, and then on the next line say python3 app.py. If you need those again, I will give them to you. Incredible. Somebody said I have 2 predicts. Where are we? Where is my other one? Oh, that's what I did. Okay, so yeah, delete this predict. Is this predict empty? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is the one I started working on. Let's delete that. You want your predict function to be inside your web app directory. Yeah. So if I close the web app directory, you shouldn't see predict.py. If you open it, you want predict.py right there. And so at this point, nothing should have changed. We should still have the same logic here that if we put 10, we should get 109 or 1,950. There we go. The logic is the same. Let's see. Neil, wait, you keep saying action. Come on, Will. Is that like you want me to go faster, or you want me to be like more aggressive? I need some details. And I'm glad to hear that you've gotten yourself a drink. It kind of feels like it. I'm glad that you're choosing to spend your inebriated hours with us. Also, I can see that my face is covering up the console again, so I'll X out this. So hopefully we can see more of the console. Or maybe actually, maybe I'll just move my face over here. Maybe that's the move. So you can see actually also here that that every time we make a request, we actually get to see what our input is right here. And so a lot of these are the default values, but some of them are the ones we're changing, like living area. Okay, so somebody's saying, can you show the app.py changes? Yes, absolutely. We'll walk through those. So the only thing that we changed is line 18. Originally, it was doing this math itself, and we now want to say predict and then pass in this form dictionary that we created. The one other thing you have to do is at the top, have the import statement from predict, import predict. I'm glad that you're staying safe, Neil. Okay, yeah, 2 folks asked for those changes. Hopefully that was a refresher there. Is we're going to from predict, import predict, and then we're going to, in this try clause right here, we're going to say predict equals predict form dict. Let's see. After making this change, my app says can't predict. Okay, so if your app is saying, like for example, something like this, if it says we weren't able to make a prediction, one of the issues that you might have, if you actually have a number in here and it's saying that, one of the issues you have is that you might not be converting data living area into an integer. That's one thing that I would recommend trying there. Incredible. Okay. So now we have our separate file that's doing the prediction for us. We're happy. Now we can actually put all of our machine learning logic in here. But I guess at this moment, it's important to say that we need to actually go get our machine learning model. And so we'll look at how to do that. Now, hopefully you still have access to that Google Collaboratory worksheet that we had. So I'll pull mine over here. This was the one where we were building and testing our model. We had all our experimentation with overfitting. That was really fun. It looks like we need to reconnect. So I'm actually going to click this reconnect button, and we're just going to hit run. And I'm just going to run through all of these. Oh no, it's going to train the MLP regressor again. Ugh, yeah, it's going to get stuck on that for a while. Okay, we're going to, it's only one run. We'll let it go. But it'll still take a while. Okay, sweet. We've gotten through. And Okay, now we're actually going to train our test. Okay, yeah. So this is where we decided this is going to be our final model. And let me scroll back up. Okay, awesome. So scroll back down. You should have just run through everything. We have trained our final model right here. And this is the model that we're going to use, right? This is the one we want. Let's see. Yeah, no, absolutely. If you haven't, if you don't have this, I wonder if I can just literally share mine. Let's see. Oh, I don't want y'all to see my email address. Let's see. Change to anyone with the link. Anyone can view, and then that should allow you to be able to copy it. So you should be able to grab this and copy my workbook. Let me know if that works out for you. So we run back to the very bottom, and so now we have a model. And the question is, how do we get this model out of our notebook and into our web app? And the answer is we're going to use something called pickle. So we're going to, right here, we'll just say import pickle. And pickle just allows us to basically write an object to a file, and then we can move that file around, right? And so we're actually going to open up a file. So we're going to say with open, and we'll call this file model.pk, pk for pickle. But importantly, we're going to say mode is equal to WB plus. We could talk about this. Basically, the W means we're writing data. The B means that we're writing binary data, right? We're not writing like ASCII characters. We're not writing plain text. And the plus just means if we don't have a file already, create that file. And we haven't created this file yet, so we're going to create. We're going to create a new file now. And so in here, all we have to do is, if I remember this correctly, we will use pickle.dump. And the first thing that we include is our model. And then the second thing we include, we'll say as model file is that open file. So we basically have opened a file called model file, and we are now dumping our model in there. Okay, we got some issues. Model is an invalid keyword for open. Let me double check my pickling. Pickle.dump should accept our object first, and then it should accept our open file with open. Oh, why are we getting errors here? What if we called it my model? Oh, it's mode, not model. That was the problem. Okay. Leave everything the same. Oh, leave everything the same, and just make sure this says mode, not model. And I think that should be good for us. Okay, awesome. So we've now written our model to a file. If we come over here, we should see model.pk, and now we can download that. Yeah, we're literally just going to save our model object to a file, and we can download it. We have our model. Now keep an eye on that. I'll get rid of my window just because it's messy. But then we want to come back over here, and we want to. I think you should actually be able to drag and drop. So I'm dragging and dropping model.pk, and then I'll drag it into the web app. So our model.pk should be in the same directory as predict.py. This is important. Pickle is interesting. I'll warn you, actually, pickle is convenient, but it can be very dangerous sometimes. There's a lot of caveats. Don't use pickle for anything that's important. We're only using pickle here because it's kind of quick. It's a quick and dirty solution, but it can lead to some real headaches. Okay, so we've now just exported our model from our notebook, and we have it now in our sort of web app environment. But we need to import it. And one thing we're going to do in order to make this easier is because we don't want to run this every time we don't want to run this every time we make a request. We're going to import our model right here. So we're getting some questions. where it says the model it's showing the model not defined. Can you show me the pickle code again? Yeah, so the important thing is if you open up this, you need to run through and run all of your cells because it probably has thrown away all your intermediate steps. So one easy way to do this is to just say runtime run all or run all before. So make sure all your cells are run. And then down at the very bottom here where you should have your final model. And so you need to make sure that all of these have been run up until this point. And then the pickling code is pretty simple. You just say import pickle. And you say with open. You can name this whatever you want, but that'll be the file that it writes to. You got to make sure the mode says WB plus, which stands for writing in binary, and create the file if it's not already there as model file. And then you'll use this one line pickle.dump model file. So hopefully I'll give that a second. I'll maybe even zoom in a little bit. But my guess is that probably the issue, if model wasn't defined, it was because all the previous cells hadn't been run recently. And so their variables weren't defined. Yeah, no, I actually also am guilty. So someone's mentioning oh, there's the run all thing. I always shift enter a bunch. I do as well. And sometimes the reason that mostly I just like typing. People have commented that I type angry a lot. And I guess that's true, but I like click-clacking on my keyboard. I like making the computers go beep boop, but it also will signal to you if one of your cells is getting stuck, Let's see, it's showing error in the previous code you wrote. So hopefully if you come to the top and this is just what I imported, or just what you imported from my code, you should just be able to say, or I'll say run all before. So I'll come down, I'll select this cell, and I'll say runtime run before. Okay, so I'm getting some errors now over here. That one's not important. I probably just accidentally put a quote there. Okay, yeah, that's fine. And then the rest didn't run. So maybe that was, okay, yeah, maybe it was the quote there. There was an extra quote that I probably just mistyped at some point. I'll save this. So if you want to copy a fresh version, that should be fixed, or you can just delete it. But if I say run all before, I need to come down here, click on this cell and click runtime run before. We can scroll up and see how far we've gotten. Okay, yeah, it's still taking a long time on that neural network. Okay, so now that's all running for me. That was probably the problem of just the stray quote mark there. So someone's asking, can you show how to upload model.pk? And the answer is absolutely, I will show you how to do that. It's actually pretty simple. What I did is when I downloaded it, so I'll show you this again, I clicked download. So it popped up here for me. I just literally dragged and dropped it over here. If it doesn't pop up for you, then what you can do is you can click upload file. And then usually it's going to be, this is probably pretty small, but if you find your downloads directory, you can just find wherever your model downloaded to. Hopefully that is helpful. Okay, so we're coming up on 49 minutes here. I think we might take a little bit of a break and pick our favorite meme. Let's check back in on the fish. How are the fish doing? They're doing good. So here's your challenge. I know this camera is not of the highest quality on the fish cam, but you can see this is the one way that I know how to tell the fish apart is that some of them are biological males and some of them are biological females. And the way you can tell is that, I'm going to say this, y'all have to promise to be adults when I say this, that the males have dark anal fins. So if you see like over here, like oh wait, I can't show you my cursor, but like that fish that's going fast on the left, both of them have darker anal fins, and then some of them have clear anal fins, and that is how you tell the biological sex of a neon blue rasbora. So if you get to name a fish, you can tell me, hey, I want to name a dark anal finned fish or a clear anal finned fish. Somebody asked, is Mac the official computer of Google? Not officially. If you're at Google, you can pick whatever laptop you want. There are lots of different options. I think that for most people at Google, you do have to get a computer that is like POSIX compliant. So that's either going to be something running some Linux distro or running Mac OS. because Windows is just not POSIX compliant. But yeah, I jumped across the screen, Adam. I'm over here now. We're telling the biological sex of neon blue rasboras. This is turned into a biology channel. Okay, we're just gonna talk about fish all day. But what we're doing is we're gonna look at some memes and we're gonna decide what our favorite meme is. And I know that Adam, you mentioned that you had dropped a meme that I have not seen yet, so I'm excited for that. So let's see. Okay, Adam, it looks like you might be in business because it looks like nobody else posted a meme. Oh, Project Mesh, we are going to talk about what to do with that model. The important thing is just to upload the model so that model PK is right next to predict. But that's as far as we've gotten. So we'll take a break and then jump back on that. Yeah, no, I'm gonna show memes on the screen. I'm just getting it prepared because, as I've mentioned before, I don't really know how to use Discord. Okay, now we'll move my face back over here. Oh, okay, there we go. Sweet. Oh, no, not Blahaj gang. Y'all probably can't see this very well, can you? Can I zoom in? There we go. And MLH. Let's go to that meme channel. Will before coffee, will after coffee. That's pretty incredible. And it is, I think it's the only AI themed meme of me at this event so far. And so I think that you're the winner, Adam. I think you had no competition. So congrats, you get to name one of my fish. I'll let you wait until the very end to decide what you want to name one of the fish. But think about, do you want to name a dark anal finned fish, a light clear anal finned fish, and what name are you thinking? So yeah, Adam is the first winner of a fish name. All right, well that was a good break. Oh, okay. I have my ukulele out, but the only song that I remember at this point, because I haven't practiced in a while, is my song about how how birds are a government conspiracy. And so we're just gonna go for that. Okay. Let's maybe make the camera bigger. Yeah, no, this is a retro one. This used to be like the song that I would do at every live stream. Okay, let's see. I am so unsure about so many different things that I have heard, but there's one thing of which I am certain, that the US government invented birds. They are fake, you can see it in their eyes. They're the NSA's favorite little spies. But there's one thing of which I am certain, that the US government invented birds. Stay woke, sheeple. Oh, I should learn a Bo Burnham song. That would go with the whole vibe, and I have the ukulele and everything. That's a good recommendation. But no, that is the truth about birds, at least in the US. I don't know what birds are doing in other parts of the world. Oh, well, thank you. Y'all are so sweet. Okay, I think that's been our break. Actually, one more break for Will. I'm gonna eat an apple. And we're going to pick up the pace. We honestly don't have that much more to do before we have fully integrated our model into our web app. So stick around. Okay, so let's switch back to, oh, not the fish cam. Yeah, let's switch back here. I don't dry my own apples. I want to. I want to get a food dehydrator. But it's tough. Oh, thank you. Y'all are very sweet to me. I love hanging out with y'all. So we have hopefully now imported our model into our web environment. And now we want to actually load that model back into an object in Python. Right now it's just a file hanging around there, and so we have to unpickle it. So for starters, let's go up to the top here and do the same import pickle line. Then down here, we will say with open model.pk, or whatever name you gave it. And we will say, oh, welcome, Pratamesh. No worries on missing the last session. If you want to hang out, I can drop links again. We are just integrating our AI model into an app that looks like this, and we're going to be able to do predictions from it. Right now, we're just using a dummy model. But the important things are get on Replit, and then you should be, if you want to just catch us up at the very end, you can import my GitHub into a Replit. That's kind of the easy way to jump in and still build the app with us. So we're opening model PK. We're going to say model or mode, not model. We're saying mode equals RB. So R is for read, and then B is still for reading binary data. I wonder if we click on PK, model.pk, what it looks like. Okay, yeah, you can see this. You can see that it's just a total mess, right? Not fun. But also actually interestingly short, right? It's only 29 lines. Obviously a lot of gobbledygook in there, but that's kind of interesting to look at. So back to predict.py. We have this line that says with open model.pk mode equals RB. And then we will just say, as model file. And then we'll get down here and we'll say pickle load model file. And then we'll just say model equals whatever that returns. Awesome. I'm glad to hear that you're going to stick around with us, Pratamesh. Incredible. Okay, so now we should be able to click run, and at very least, we should not get any errors. Okay, it says no model named sklearn. That's interesting. I feel like usually it'll just automatically install it for us. But I suppose we'll have to do it ourselves. Okay, so we've got some options. One thing we could do is literally just go with pip. We can say Python 3 pip -m pip install sklearn. And it looks like that's going to play ball for us. Okay, so to install those missing libraries, just go into your console or really your shell and just run this command right here. I think this should be good for us. Okay, once that runs, then maybe we can hit run again. Incredible. Now we're in business. Oh, okay, yeah. No, thank you for the warning that I'm covering my console again. I'll move my face back over here. Great. Lovely. So now we can at least run it, and we're not using our model at all yet, but we are running it. So the next step that we're going to run. The next step we're going to run through is actually getting our data into a pandas data frame, right? We're going to try to do all of that previous pre-processing that we did, but in the predict function, and we want it in a data frame to make that pre-processing easy. So the first thing that we'll have to do is to import pandas, right? And this will probably be another that we have to install. So import pandas as PD. Okay, no module named pandas. So we'll run that same python-m pip install pandas. I will copy this and throw it in the chat for us if it works. Oh yeah, no, you don't have to see my face, y'all. My face is not that interesting. It looks the same as it looked like 5 seconds ago. I could always go back to the separately showing my face to the side, which I don't like because then it would make all of the text smaller, and I think it'd make it harder to read. Honestly, this is kind of small. Maybe I make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so we've successfully installed we've successfully installed pandas. So let's run that again just to make sure we don't get any errors. It looks like we're up and running. Incredible. Someone asked, should that be Python 3 on the pandas? Yes, yeah, it should be Python 3. Oh yeah, let me drop that link. Oh, I guess it actually doesn't matter. Probably on this machine, Python 3 and Python are aliased to the same binary. So I guess you can say Python 3 or just Python. But that's the command that I ran if you want to follow it directly along. Good question. So we've imported pandas now. Now, this data dictionary that we got, we're actually going to crack into this, and we're going to turn it into a a data frame. So let's get rid of this line. Let's just clear it out. And let's say prediction data frame is equal to, and we'll just say PD data frame. But now we're actually going to pull each of our individual attributes out of our list. And the reason we're going to pull these out individually is so we can make sure that we're pre-processing them in the right way, right? Because we want to make sure that that living area is a number, and that that state doesn't have to be turned into a number. So we will walk through one by one. This might be a little bit error prone, but it'll enable us to just have the columns that we want and just in the way we want. So we'll say state, and we'll create a little list there, and we'll say data, and we'll just pull out state. And this should be a string, so no pre-processing. Then we'll say zip code, and we'll, in another list, we'll say zip code, and we'll just pull, data, and we'll pull out zip code. Now this we actually do want to turn into an integer, right? If there is any text in here, we want to fail. We won't check for like, oh, is it a right zip code? We'll just handle that gracefully. But we'll throw in that and pre-process it into an integer. Next, we'll do home type. And we'll do another list, and we'll say data home type. And that, again, that's a string, so we don't do any special pre-processing on that. Then we'll throw in living area. And I'm happy to, I don't know if it'll be easy to copy and paste, but I'll just like dump this whole pre-processing chunk into the chat if you want it. You also could pull it from my GitHub, it's on there. So living area, we'll do another list, and we'll say data living area. Now this one, we're okay if this is a float. So we'll cast this into a float rather than an integer. Then we'll move on to bedrooms. The bedrooms is going to be an integer, and we'll pull out data bedrooms. Bathrooms is also going to be an integer. Data bathrooms. And then lot area is going to be, we'll say a float, that you can have half of the square foot in your lot, right? And we'll say lot area. Now, notably, we are just telling people that you should enter in your lot area in square feet right here. And so we don't have to do any pre-processing. We're just saying, give it to us in the format we want. Now, if you're like, okay, well, that's cool, but like that's a lot of text and I did not follow along perfectly, no worries. I will just dump, this is the link specifically on the GitHub to this file. This is where we're headed in the file. I just want to walk through it line by line with y'all. But if you want to jump over there and just copy this construction of prediction data frame, be my guest. I'm not here to make you, laboriously type a lot of pre-processing steps. One thing we'll have to make sure to do is to wrap this in a dictionary. So put some curly braces around that. And maybe we can format it like that. Now it'll accept the dictionary, and it'll only have a single row, right? It'll only have just the row that we're putting in there. So now we have to deal with a kind of weird thing that pops up when you're dealing with small data sets. So remember, oh, it's now saying no module named pandas again. Oh, maybe it is because we, okay, let's stop. Calm down. Oh, it's going nuts. I've never seen this before. That's fun. Okay, it finally calmed down. Yeah, no, the console was kind of going nuts there. Okay, I'm actually, for the rest of this, I'm not going to use the run button anymore. The run button seems like not a good time. I'm just going to launch manually from now on. Basically because it's this job. That's funny. So let's go back and actually specifically do Python 3 -m pip install pandas. Oh wait, did we just not no, okay, we imported pandas normally. But yeah, Python 3 -m pip install pandas. Hopefully it's already installed and just runs. Oh, it's thinking a lot. Y'all, Replit might be having a brain fart. That'd be a bad time. Well, okay, it did something. Okay, so I have, in previous times, I've seen the package section over here. I think it's because I did not formally mark this as a Python project, that it is not giving me that nice little UI. But if you have a package tab over here, I'd recommend trying to use that. But you should be able to run that command that I just ran, and we will see if that plays nice with us. We could also add a dot required, and that might be helpful. Yes, I will jump back to predict. Oh, yeah, we're on predict now. Okay, cool. Cool. And so now maybe we change directory to web app, and maybe we say Python 3 app.py. And now we wait. No module named sklearn. That's uncomfortable. Okay, maybe we will have to. So maybe just close the console and start again. Can I close the console? Does it let me X out of the console? So we could try installing sklearn again. Although I don't want to have to reinstall these every time we launch the app, you know? So maybe it'll cooperate for us this time. Crosstalk on the right. Oh, there is a little X right there. Okay. Okay, if I have any more problems, I'll try just killing the console. Thank you for the tip. It was very, very small and not great contrast there. But we'll let this run and install and see if we can get running. And while we do, let's add some more stuff in here. So one problem that we ran into earlier, or that we would run into, is that when we're doing one-hot encoding, originally our one-hot encoding was just looking at all the possible values we had. But right now in our data frame, we're only going to have one possible value because we only have one row, right? So there will only be one state in this data set, and there will only be one home type in this data set. And so we have to get around this by explicitly telling pandas what our categories are for our categorical variables. That's what we'll look at in just 1 second. But we will see if I can. I'll pop over to shell and change directory into the web app, and then Python 3 app.py. See if we can get into business. Okay, cool. We're back. Yeah, no, I really should have added a dot required over here so it would add our dependencies for us automatically. But so far, so good. So we're going to explicitly tell pandas what our categories are. Earlier, we just said pandas look at all the data in there, and each of those values are a category. But because in this we only have one row, so we only have one state present, we only have one home type present, and that would give us weird one-hot encoding. It would give us one-hot encoding of only one column, right? And we need more. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to override our data frame here. So we'll say prediction data frame. We'll throw in home type, and we'll say that is equal to our prediction data frame as type. And so this is basically in the same way that we can formally cast something into a float, we can cast this whole column into something called a categorical data type. And so we're going to say as type. We'll throw in some parentheses there, and we'll say pb categorical d type. And then inside categorical d type, we will add a list where we say categories. So in this list, we will put, I'll just type these out and probably cause problems by typing them out. But we have single family. We have condo. We have townhouse. And finally, we have multifamily. These are our 4 values here. And so then ultimately what this is doing for us is it's just telling our data frame, hey, you don't see all of the categories, but these are the categories that are important, right? And this is going to get a little bit hairy. I know I'm covering part of it again. I'll just make my face smaller because right now, as I said, my face, not the most important thing here. Woo. Okay, that should be better. Okay, to be clear, Pratimesh, I actually saw it before you mentioned it. Okay, so I'm watching. You know, I appreciate y'all writing it, but no, I just wanted to be clear. I'm keeping an eye on it. Right on. So this process where we just annotate in our data frame, hey, home type could have any of these values. We're going to want to do the same thing for our states, but I don't want to write out all of our states. So we're going to import our states.json again. So go back up to the top. Again, we only have to do this once, so we'll put it at the top of our file. And we will just say, well, actually, first up here, we'll import JSON, import JSON. And then we'll say with open states.json as states file. We will say states.dict is equal to JSON load, and we'll pass in our file states file. So now we should have access to states.dict, and down here we can just say keys, and that will give us all our possible states. So remember, if we go back to our states.json, all of our keys are our abbreviations there, and that will just be a nice way of not having this giant list of states in this file. Don't worry, we will add giant lists of states in this file later. So this is just one of them. Awesome. So now we'll do this. We can even just copy this line of code. Copy the whole line of code. That's a big line. In fact, actually, for the time being, let's make this smaller. There we go. Now it's only on 2 lines. We'll paste that again, but we'll say states, and that's equal to states as type categorical data type. But now our categories will just be that states.dict and not this little manual list we wrote out. Sweet. So now we have done that pre-processing for both of our categorical variables. And now we can actually get dummies for them. So we will say prediction data frame is equal to pd.getDummies. And we will pass in the prediction data frame. And we'll say columns. And we'll say home type and states. This will one hot encode both home type and states that we just pre-processed there. Now, the one last file we're going to have to import here is, remember that pre-processing we did. Bye, Adam. Oh, wait, Adam, before you go, let me know what you want to name a fish. Drop it in the chat, message me, or whatever you want to do so I can name the fish. See you later. So remember earlier when we were cleaning our data, we said instead of zip code, we're going to replace zip code with the average. Oh, you're going to name a fish Blahaj. Okay, that's honestly, I could have guessed that. We said we're going to replace zip code with the average income from that zip code, right? And this is what we want to do again, is we want to replace the zip code we're getting in with the average income from that zip code. We have median income right up here. But we're going to want to actually copy that median or move that median income into our web app directory. So scroll up, median income. Oh, come on. Okay, yes. So we've moved our median income CSV. Hi, Sufyan. It's great to have you here. So we're going to move that median income and zip code in there. So we can now import that as well. So we'll go back to predict. And up here with our other import statements, we will just say pd read CSV, and we will read. Let's just copy the name of this file here. Let's see. Copy link. Oh, maybe I'll click rename and just copy that way. I'll just copy that file name. We'll hop back into predict. So we'll say read CSV, and we'll throw in median income by zip code.csv. And then we'll say income data right there. So now we can come back down and do our merge statement. So if you remember earlier, we're merging our prediction data frame and our income data basically on zip code. And that command is going to look like, we'll say prediction data frame is equal to pd. inside our merge function as our first thing, and our income data right here. Then we'll say how you data frame is kind of our main one. Okay. Happen. I think this has historically been, but I am going to try. Okay, tell me, is this any better, or is this equally bad? Also, here's my normal camera. Oh, I'm better now. Oh, incredible. Okay, I am so glad to hear that. So it's actually my camera's microphone was working okay. It was just when I was coming from my laptop's microphone that it was causing issues. That's good to know. I'm not out of time. Oh, am I? Oh, I'm out of time probably because the audio is coming from a different place. So I'll switch back to the other camera. I'm actually feeling great that we successfully debugged that. Thank you for sticking through. Okay, so hopefully now there's not a lag because the audio and the camera are the same. No, Neil, I will not go back to Terminator mode. I didn't like it there. It was bad for me. Okay, so we will charge ahead. Incredible, thank you, Sam. I'm glad to hear there's no lag for you. We will charge ahead and we will finish this app. So we have our merge going on, right? So we're merging on the left. We're saying that the prediction data frame is just our main data frame that we're merging into. And then we will say, we'll have to name each of the individual columns. So we'll say left on, and that one's just called zip code. But then right on, remember that one's actually called zip code with an underscore. And so that should allow us to import correctly. So now, one of the few last things we have to do is we just have to fill in any of the, if we end up with a zip code that is not in there or there's something weird, we want to be able to replace that with our median income. So we will say, prediction data frame, median income, and we will set that equal to, or we'll say fill NA, and we will say, we'll fill that to the mean of our income data, and we'll say median income dot mean. So this just means that if the thing we got didn't actually match up, we'll just say fill it in with the average income, and we'll say in place equals true. Okay, bye for reals, Adam. Incredible. So now that we've replaced that, we're going to drop those zip code columns. So we'll say prediction data frame, and we'll say drop, and we'll include zip code and zip code with an underscore, zip underscore code. And then we will say axis equals 1 and in place equals true. So we're making sure that we're dropping our columns and we're assigning it back to prediction data frame. And now there was one last weird step that we have to take, and it's one that originally I actually messed up and I didn't realize. And so this is what I'm going to say. Just copy this bit from the GitHub link that I posted. The problem is that our columns are in a different order than our old columns were, right? We've added them in a different order. We haven't made sure that we maintained them. Weird things have happened. And so we just need to make sure that our columns are in the exact same order as our model was trained on. Otherwise, it'll actually interpret, home type as the state, or it'll interpret bedrooms as bathrooms or something like that. And so the important thing to do here is to just go to, it's line 37 of the GitHub predict file. I just plopped that in here. So we are basically just reordering all our columns here. That's all that's going on, even though it is a big chunk of text. So now give yourself a hug because you got through all the difficult stuff. We get to actually make our prediction, right? So let's say price prediction is equal to model. Is that what we called it up here? Model dot predict. And then you can just pass it in our prediction data frame. And you'll take that price prediction and we'll get the first price prediction, and we'll say .0. And then we'll actually turn that into an integer, so we'll get rid of any cents. So if it said, it's actually like $1 million and 50 pennies, we don't really care about the pennies, right? And we will just return that integer. So we now actually should be able to run this and get our higher quality predictions. Let's scroll over and see what things are looking like. What if we try running our app again? Will it play ball? It looks like it's playing ball. Incredible. So now we should be able to click over here. Let's just do a hard refresh. And now let's try to put in our input. Okay. And so this is actually, I want to, oh yes, yeah, no, I can wait for a second. And again, the thing that I'll throw out again is that if you want to, you can always copy some of this code from my GitHub. But if you want to actually type along, I think there's a lot of value in actually following along. And so I will give another second. I'll actually just do a review of the code we just wrote. So we took all the input from the form, right? Our form data came in here, and we manually picked out every single column and converted it into the data type that we wanted, right? Strings, we just did just the value, but we converted some into integers, and we converted some into floats. Then we specifically told the data frame that some of these are categorical, and here are all the categories. So we said the categories for home type are these 4. And then we said the categories for states are our list of all of the state keys, all of our abbreviations. Finally, or not finally, then we turned home type and states into dummy variables. We merged in our information about income instead of zip code. So we dropped income and added, we dropped zip code and added income instead. And then the final thing we did here that was a little bit weird is that we reordered all of our columns just so our columns would match the order they were originally in. And that's why there's that giant chunky statement there. And then we just predicted and we returned our prediction. So someone said, Sam said that they got a return error outside of the function. And probably that's going to be if your function is indented. If you didn't indent your return statement, you might get an error like that. I really am. You really can't see me. I'll raise my oh, not the whole screen. I'll raise my face up just a little bit. There we go. And so you're just going to want to make sure that your return is indented in to the same indent level as everything else. Your indentation, if you copied this statement, might have gotten messed up. So just make sure that this statement is sort of indented the right amount. Hopefully that was the issue you were facing. Awesome. Oh, Hannah, thank you for reminding me to take a sip of water. Where would I be without you? I'd have a really dry throat is where I would be, honestly. If anybody else wants to remind me to take a sip of water, please do. I'm all for it. Okay, so at this point, if we've played our cards right and we don't have any syntax errors, then we should be able to go back to, oh, did I break the app again? Okay, yeah, it's now saying I have a return outside function because I simulated that error. So someone asked, okay, Neil said take a sip of water. Someone asked repeating the indentation part. Yeah, so the important thing here, if we scroll back over, is that under your function definition, you should have this one line that shows that everything's indented, and everything should have that line, right? Nothing should break that line. Yeah, I will probably have to go pee in a second. Incredible, I'm glad you fixed your indentation, Sam. That's good to hear. The other part that might be a little bit tricky is if you copied and pasted this statement, it may have gotten the indentation wrong. And so the thing that I'd recommend is make sure that this is only tabbed in one. And then there are some line breaks. One thing you can do is just have literally a really long line, so you can delete these, or delete the new lines and put them all in one line. Like that's allowed. And you won't get any indentation errors that way. You can then also take advantage of sort of the auto indent by deleting all the new lines and then putting them back in, and it will auto indent for you. You see there, if I hit return, it indents to the right place for me. But we can just put them all on one line. It's not pretty, but it'll make sure we don't get any indentation errors. Awesome. So now I simulated that error and I fixed it, and we should be able to hit run again. Yeah, I love staying hydrated. Okay, so now if we come back here, hopefully, unless we have any new errors, unless I've introduced some errors, we should be able to predict something. And in fact, this is going to be, I'm going to go and put back in my information. So I will say the state is Washington, the zip code is 98144, it's a townhouse, we're looking at 1,050 square feet, 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and I'll use the number 400, that's a lot area. Oh, okay, so unable to make a prediction, which means we probably have some error in here. And I wonder if we can get any information from our log. So I see states. Oh, I bet that I use states somewhere where the actual word is state singular. So let's go back to app.py. Sorry, not app.py. Let's go back to predict.py. And let's search for states. So that's correct. But yeah, sure enough, I was looking at states when I should have just used the singular state. Let's delete those S's. Okay, cool. Maybe now we will play nice. If we go back over here and we hit submit again. Okay, it said we weren't able to make a prediction again. So let's see if we maybe get another error. Okay, it still says states is not an index. Let's see. So we put state right there. Do we have states plural anywhere else? Did I miss one? It looks like we should be good. So maybe I just need to, maybe we'll try a hard refresh, or maybe I actually need to kill this and run it again. Okay. There we go. Okay, we are in business. So somebbe asked, how is pandas not automatically included in replit? Is pandas legit that used in Python applications? So I think actually the problem here, why this is happening, is because early on it asked me what the language was, and I said Bash, and I probably should have said Python. I think that is the reason that it's not automatically importing these things, that we had to do it manually. Yes, so someone asked about indentations again, and I will show you indentations. Let's go back to predict.py. And so, I have this indented, but the important thing is there's that one line of indentation going all the way down through predict. And I'll say that if you're still having indentation problems at this point, it might be important to just, or it might be a good call just to go to that GitHub that I'll drop again and just to copy what's in there. That should work if you just copy and paste it sort of completely. But if you have specific error messages, feel free to drop them in the chat and we'll talk about them. Let's see. Sam said they can't type in their console anymore. So depending on the console and the shell are they're kind of the same thing in this scenario. But if you can't type in one, it might be because the app is running there, and so you could try the other one. That'd be the one thing that I'd recommend. The other thing that is, if something is running and you want to kill it, then just do Control-C, and that should kill it for us. So if I go to shell where my web server is running, I can Control-C it, and it kills the app, and then I can type again. But then I'll arrow up and run Python 3 app one more time. And we'll get back to the exciting part where we actually have our app working. So come back over here. I'll hit submit, and this is the price predicted for the townhouse that I'm in right now. It is actually not. It's not correct. It's about $200,000 too low, but it is roughly in the right ballpark. And honestly, maybe I put in the wrong lot square footage. But so it gets my house a little bit more wrong. I'm curious if anybody has any thoughts about why the place that I'm living in, our average error was like 60,000, right? The error here is like 200,000. Why is it getting my house more wrong? Does anybody have any guesses? Any guesses on why my home has a higher level of error than average? Okay, if y'all are stumped, here's my guess. And I don't know, right? This is something that I thought about a little bit, like, oh yeah, that's a pretty big error. And it is roughly correct, right? It's like, in the right ballpark. Somebody asked, is it nicer than average? Somebody said it's not going by townhouse, it's going by average household. So all of these are interesting thoughts, and I think there's actually truth to both of them. Like mine actually might just be nicer than the average townhouse. Okay, actually somebody mentioned being short on data, and both of these are really true. I think that the reason that I would guess, if you go back to our original data set, which maybe I can grab it really quickly here. If we go to our final training input, yeah. We're doing it live here. If we create a new cell and we take our home type and we say, oh wait, we don't have home type there. If we go earlier to before we, I want to go before we actually cleaned our data. So let's go back actually not to part 3, but to part 2. If we import some stuff and we take our train df, is it called train df? No, it's just called train home type, and we do value counts. And if we look at this, we can see we have like 20,000 single family homes, and then we have 2,000 condos, and we have less than 2,000 townhomes, right? And so my guess would be that our model is going to perform pretty good on single family homes, and it probably is going to perform worse on townhomes. This would be generically my guess. And this was kind of an important thing to run through, is like actually ask yourself the question, what might be causing problems, right? And in this case is where we have an unbalanced class problem, where we have a lot of examples of single family homes and not as many examples of townhomes or condos or multifamily homes. So that's like one thought that I wanted to share for you on why we might see error, specifically, on the home that I'm in. Well, congrats, fam. This is our app. Now we have like 30 minutes left, and there was one little stretch goal that I had planned for us. Let's see. Neil says, when will neural network tutorial when? Oh, I would love to do a neural network tutorial. The problem is, while it's very cool to me, there's like a lot of math and less payoff, and we're really trying to give, let them eat cake with this session. But I don't know, maybe next local hack day build. We'll actually talk about that. I want to get feedback on what kind of content y'all are into. But so there's one stretch goal, and I think we have time for it. This will be really quick. If you remember, there was one very important caveat that I included in our Kaggle competition about the data, and it was about data from specific states. Does anybody remember what this was? There was one specific, you can even go back to the Kaggle competition and see it. There was a specific caveat that I included about the prices of homes. All right, nobody's jumping to it. I'll give just another second, and I'll pull up the Kaggle competition with that second. Let's go to overview. Yes, Sam, you are exactly correct. There is something about some states are considered non-disclosure states. So if we go, I think notes on the data is where I included this. We have relatively high confidence that the values included are correct. The prices included for transactions in non-disclosure states are just estimates and should not be understood to be the actual dollar amount the house was sold for. And this is, I think, the reason that I want to do this is because I think it's really important for us as machine learning scientists and practitioners to understand the limitations of the models we're building. So if there's something like this where these states, we don't have a lot of high confidence, I think it can be really powerful to, if someone is asking for a prediction from one of those states, to just do a little flash that says, hey, we'll give you a prediction, but we're just telling you we're less confident about this because legally we don't have access to this data. So I would like to see if we can see actually what states are non-disclosure states from this link that I included. States that to this date are non-disclosure. Okay, awesome. So these are our states. I'm just going to grab that list. I'll close out of this. And let's go back to our app. So if we go back to app.py, you can see we use this little function where we say flash, and that's where we get the little message that flashes up on the top of the screen. And we can use this to, if we're making a prediction, we can check to see if it's one of those states. So I'll paste just that list of states. I am actually, I think, relatively well-versed in the abbreviation, so I'll see if I can just get this. I think it's ID for Idaho. I think it's KA for Kansas. No, is it KS? Yeah, it's definitely KS. Louisiana is LA. Mississippi is MI. Missouri is MO. It does vary by county, but we'll still include it. Montana, I believe, is MN. No, wait, MN is Minnesota. All right, let's check. Let's check our list. Montana. It's MT for Montana. Okay. New Mexico is NM. North Dakota is ND. Texas is TX. Utah is UT. And Wyoming is YW. So we've converted that list of non-disclosure states. And let's actually grab this now. And just up at the top, say non-disclosure states. And we'll wrap these all in strings and put commas between them. Very glamorous, I know. I know you came here to watch me manually edit text. I mean, I guess literally that is what you came here for, right? That was what I said I was going to do, is I was going to program. This is one where I really should have done the baking the cake thing where I say, and now let's put in the cake. And then I already had it ready, already typed out. So we have our list of non-disclosure states. Yeah, I will absolutely dump that in the chat. Thank you for asking. No, absolutely understandable, yeah. So we take our non-disclosure states, and so we're just going to say, if request.form state in non-disclosure states. We can still go ahead and do our prediction, but we want to use this flash function and just say flash, and let's type out a message like, you are asking for a prediction about a house in a non-disclosure state. We don't have data on transactions in this state. So take this prediction with a grain of salt. Yeah, adding quotations on strings is the worst. Okay, so maybe we run that again. Oh, end of line. Okay, there we go. And if we've all been very good programmers, then we should be in business. And so now let's go to one of those. I remember Utah was one of these states. And so I asked for kind of the same thing. Incredible. Now we get this little warning. It says you're asking for a prediction about a house in a non-disclosure state. We don't have data on transactions in this state, so take this prediction with a grain of salt. This honestly might actually be my favorite part of like all that we've gotten to do, is just being very clear about what our model can't do and what it can do, right? And I think pretending like our model can do everything is a really dangerous habit to get into, and really making it clear that there are some things that it's not cut out to do, I think is just a really, really important step towards being a sort of responsible user of machine learning. So thank you for humoring me and going with me on this specific disclaimer that we pop up here now. So friends, that is largely the content that I had for today. We get to wrap up some things though. We have our machine learning competition. We have some fish to name, and I'm going to announce who won our raffle. Yes, Hannah, we're gonna give out some prizes. Okay, let me scroll down to see notes that I have. Okay, great. So let's first look at our Kaggle competition that I just had up, but I put away. So if you remember, and it's been a minute since I posted a Kaggle competition, so we'll see. But if you remember, we have our public leaderboard, and then we have our private leaderboard. So we look at our public leaderboard, but it's possible that if these people overfit, oh wait, no, I was showing the private leaderboard. Gosh dang it, no drama. If these people overfit, that maybe things get shuffled up, right? Well, I'll reveal the private leaderboard. And we did have a little bit of moving along. Stuart, congrats on moving up on the private leaderboard. And Brittany won first place. So congrats, Brittany. I will say all of these submissions were really impressive, right? All of them. I think I mentioned that if you got below 60,000, that's really a great prediction to make. And pretty much everybody got around there. In fact, everybody did so well that everybody who submitted is going to get a t-shirt. And I talked with Mary and I said, hey, like people who submitted, they did a lot of work. Can we give them something? And she said, yes, let's send them all t-shirts. So if you submitted at all, if your name is on here, then please open a ticket with Mary, tell her that you submitted to our Kaggle competition, and she will get you a shirt in the mail. But for Brittany, if you are here, if you are present, then you get to name a fish is your special prize. You also get a t-shirt, but you get to name a fish, and that's going to be sweet. And we'll move on to that in just 1 second. Oh, Brittany is here. So good. But yeah, really, really good job. Brittany, I'm actually really curious because you are in chat. Do you have anything specific that you did that you think made a difference? Because you got a really good score here. Was there like a specific process? Did you use a different model? Did you add some different amount of data? What was your method like? I'm really curious to hear. If you want to drop that in the chat, we'll give you a second to do that. Okay, XGBoost. Okay, cool. XGBoost is, I feel like all too often XGBoost is the answer. It's a model that can perform pretty well, especially if you have a lot of computational power to throw at it. So XGBoost was the model. You can go look that up. I'll actually, let's see, XGBoost scikit-learn. I'll drop that link if people want to read about XGBoost. That's a gradient. There is an implementation of XGBoost in sklearn, right? Or is that... I'm making that up. Also use grid search. Oh, interesting. Okay, that's I assume grid search for like hyperparameter optimization. So gradient boosting is kind of a very similar thing to you'd almost call it a different implementation of XGBoost. So I'll drop that there if you want to learn about not the specific model, but a similar implementation, because that's the link I had there. Yeah. So grid search is to throw out like a quick version of this. And Brittany, tell me if I'm getting it wrong. But remember earlier we were talking about like what is the size of our AI's brain, and we were saying, okay, you could have this many layers, and each of the layers could have this many neurons, right? That's called a hyperparameter, which is not like literally the weights in your model, but it's what's the shape of your model, or what does your model consider. And so something you can do is you can kind of iterate through all the possible parameters, right? You could say, well, okay, let's have a lot of big brains and a lot of small brains and brains with different layers. and you run all of them and you test all of them and you see which parameters or which hyperparameters work the best. Yeah, no, Brittany has got the biggest brain over here, bigger brain than any AI that I have seen, mostly because they're human. But incredible. So we've established that Adam won the best meme. Brittany has won our kaggle competition. I guess I'll get back to my head. And then for our raffle, I raffled off just before I got on the stream. I did a little random number generator and picked from the people that have checked into all 3 of our previous streams. And I'll be honest, I'll be honest that it was random. But then when I saw who won, I was super, super excited because this person has been super active in the chat. And so I was like, hell yes, I'm glad that I get to reward this person and have the name one of my fish. And so the person that won our raffle was Sam, or Samrid, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. So congrats, Sam, on winning the raffle and for being at every one of our sessions. But honestly, I've had so many people show back up for all these sessions, and it has been so much fun. It has been an absolute joy. I wish I had 70 fish so you could all name one, because it's really been a pleasure having you here. But also props to you, Sam, for showing up to everyone and for engaging a lot. It's really, really awesome, and I really appreciate it. I guess at that point, we will just say that it's time to name some fish. So I know that, wrong. Okay. So I know that Adam said he wanted his fish to be named Blahaj. And so we will say Blahaj is one of our names. Let's make that higher. And honestly, let's make all of these a little bit smaller. And so does anybody, either Sam or Brittany, do you have your names ready? If you don't, that's okay. Like, I'm going to have these names forever, right? And as long as these fish are alive, you're going to have these names. But if you want to chat it to me later, that's totally cool. But if you have a name ready right now, I will pop a name in there. Yeah, who could have predicted that one of them was going to be named Blahaj? Yeah, not me, never. Pie fish. Okay. Pie fish. I like it. Incredible. Okay, Sam's going to think about it. I will pull this up a little bit so we can see them all. So we have 2 fish named, and then Sam will think about it. Yeah, especially because it was Adam saying, how could I possibly have guessed? Okay, well, friends, that is kind of the end of what we have planned for now. Just a quick closeout. Someone had a question. Yeah, we'll leave time for questions if anybody has any straggling questions. Can we export our code as a Python file so that I can upload it on GitHub? That is a great question. The answer is absolutely yes. Let me go back to, yes, okay, here we go. If we go back here, my understanding is probably the easiest way is going to be to mess with this and to say, let's see, can we change the, okay, it doesn't look like it's going to let us break out of it that way. I do believe you should be able to download things. So you can download as a zip the entire everything. I think that would be the best move. And then you can upload that to GitHub. Yeah, great question. And I would love for y'all to put this on GitHub. Also, like that GitHub repo will stay up there, so you can always look back at it. You can refer to it as notes. You can play around with it. You can fork it and then fuck it up. Be my guest. Okay, so I guess we'll be open to any other questions. I'll keep an eye on the chat. But I'm sorry. Yeah, I know. Well, I get one curse word per stream, Hannah. That's what we said, right? Or at least that's what I said to myself. So we did so much this week. We brushed up on our Python skills. We learned how to clean data and pull out our interesting features. We built and tested a model, and we were really careful to not overfit, and we investigated that. And then finally today, we've integrated our model into a web app so the world can use it. I'm gonna be honest, y'all, all of that content, that was like 2 semesters of a computer science undergrad degree crammed into like a couple hours, right? So if you have even just barely followed along, then that is incredibly impressive. And I really do want you to feel good about that, right? We were really, really flying. Hello, Adam, welcome back. And so I want to say, one, if you did have any time struggling keeping up, one, I want to hear about it, actually. Tell me that. But don't feel bad about that, because we did move really fast to get from idea to finished product in 1 week. The other thing that I want to throw out is that I had so much fun with this meta track. And I think that one of the reasons it's so much fun is because the way to get better at machine learning and data science is to play around with it, right? We did a lot of playing with our data and playing with our models, and I hope that you can continue that. I hope you can continue to play with this data and other data, and continue to learn about machine learning and data science, and web apps for that matter, by playing with the things that you are trying to build. So just some final sort of housekeeping before I sign off. We still have the link to check in. If you have not checked in for this event yet, I would be absolutely tickled to death if you just said, hey, yes, I was here. That would feel good. If you have any final thoughts, and people have said some very sweet things in this forum, and I love that. So, if you want to say sweet things in this forum, please do. But specifically, if there was anything you thought I could have done better, or anything specific that you thought was good, right? If you thought, hey, specifically having those those notebooks that I could download, that was really helpful. Or if specifically, hey, this part of it I didn't understand and could have been described a little bit better, I would love to hear that kind of feedback. I would also love to hear about what kind of things you'd like to see in the future, right? If you want to see, specifically this kind of model. Someone mentioned artificial neural networks. If you'd like to look at natural language, I love doing machine learning with natural language like text. If you're really interested in doing some image processing, or if this was great and you want more of this kind of thing, please let me know, because I'm sure I'll be doing more of this kind of thing in the future, and I would love your feedback so that we can make stuff that is actually going to be good for y'all. And then finally, before I sign off, I really have had a blast with all of y'all. And so if you want to keep in touch with me on LinkedIn, I'm going to go after this, and I'm going to hopefully accept a bunch of connections and chat with folks. And then you can also find me anywhere else on the internet at WLiffert, and I'll drop the at there. So keep in touch. Let me know how things go and where machine learning takes you. And just in time, Saved by the Bell, Sam has said that they want the fish to be named Luffy. And I think that's a great fish name. So let's jump back to the fish cam and say Luffy. Incredible. And I'll move that up a little bit. Okay. And this fish cam is going to stay like this. So if I do future streams, we're going to pull up this. I might reorient it a little bit, but everyone will know the names of these fish, which I think is just delightful. All right, friends. Well, it has been a blast connecting with me on LinkedIn. I just dropped the link there, and you should be able to just request a connection. And people that have attended workshops, I'm happy to to do that. Someone said don't disappear until local hack day build next year. I would love not to. I actually have thought about if you want to drop thoughts in there about like me doing other streaming things. Every time I'm like maybe I should stream more. It is really fun, but then I ultimately wait for local hack day again. So if you like, hey Will, like let's do more of this, on another channel or something, let me know about that. And then beyond that. Neil says, I have such a grade school photo. Oh, on my LinkedIn? Yeah, I took that photo. I think it was when I was like late high school. I haven't changed it because, why would I? But connect with me on LinkedIn. Let me know in that form. I'll drop it one more time on any thoughts, any input, what you'd like to see in the future. And I will just close out by saying, thank you so much for being part of my local Hack Day build. It has been an absolute blast. I will take a sip of water. And I will play us out on Kalimba, and I'll keep an eye on the chat for a second. But thank you so much. It's been a blast. Happy hacking. And that, and that'll be that. All right, thank you so much, friends, for tuning in. I'm going to end the stream, but I'll hang out on chat if you want to throw any more things in there. Peace out.